Hello everyone! So I've spent the last week trying to unpack all of the lessons and aha moments that I've taken away from my Mount Adams climb, and I will try to convey all of the things that I've learned about myself and all of the important lessons that I've taken away about hardiness and leadership through our shared experience up there on Mount Adams. If someone had asked me probably even a month ago if I thought I was a particularly brave person, I probably would have said no. I know that I'm a strong-willed person. I know that I am a fighter. I know that I will get things done. I'm a hard worker. But I've never really thought of myself as a risk taker. I take a lot of calculated risks that involve me thinking things over until I come to the right decision. But I don't think I ever would have thought of myself as a particularly brave person. But looking back on the whole Mount Adams experience, even just signing up for the class, even before getting to the mountain, I flew to Portland, rented a car, drove 2 hours through the Washington countryside before getting to a strange little town where I was going to embark on a mountain climbing adventure with people I've never met before in my life. And when I think about it in those terms, I'm like, you know, I am a brave person. I do take these crazy risks and take bold leaps so that I can live a fulfilling life. That was one of the biggest takeaways that I got from our adventure, was just, I think that the way that I perceive myself might be a little bit different than what is actually happening on the outside. Prior to signing up for this course, I've been going through a lot of weird things in my life. Many of you know that I'm a life and career coach, so I help other people unleash their potential so that they can live these really bold, vibrant lives. And I got to the point where I felt like I wasn't living my life fully. I felt like I was retreating within my own shell, and I was losing confidence and just not stepping up to the plate the way that I know I could be. So when the opportunity came across to climb a mountain, I thought, what better way to really challenge and push myself and push my boundaries and show myself that I can do these really big, crazy things. As I started reading the text for the course, particularly Man's Search for Meaning, and also all of the Maddie works, just talking about the 3 C's and all the hardiness principles, it really was eye-opening, because I was able to see that hardiness and leadership is so much about what's coming from within rather than what you're projecting to the outside. And I think that really struck a chord with me. It kind of challenged the way that I think about resilience, and it challenged the way that I think about what it means to lead. It doesn't mean that you have to be the most outspoken person all of the time. A lot of times it's really what's at your core and what's in your heart rather than what you're actually putting out to the world. And as someone who's always been a little bit of a quieter force, that really spoke to me and really opened my eyes to the things that I had been doing and the things that maybe I was taking for granted about myself. Those different pathways to leadership and those different meanings of hardiness really showed up for me once we got to the mountain and once we were climbing, and I was just faced with so many obstacles. I was faced with an ill-fitting, uncomfortable pack and not really doing well with the elevation. And all of these things just started popping up, and I was pushing myself to my limit, but it just seemed like that was not going to be enough to get me to the top. And I felt like I was faced with this internal struggle where typically I would push myself and keep myself going so that I could finish, but I also had to think about the greater team and the greater good. And it would have been completely selfish of me to try and push myself past that point. And you know, who knows what could have happened up there if I had gotten ill or if I just couldn't have gone any further. I would have completely jeopardized the whole team. So I think in that moment I really had to make a hard decision and really dig down deep and think about what it really means to be a leader and what it really means to be hardy. It doesn't always mean just pushing through stuff and being able to go from start to finish. Sometimes it means making those tough choices and really thinking about the greater good of what's going on. And that was a really hard lesson for me, but something that I'm really, really grateful that I was able to learn. In learning that lesson, I felt that I really had to challenge my definition of success and my definition of failure. I think going into this whole experience, I had a very clear-cut definition of what it meant to succeed. And for me, for this adventure, it meant getting to the summit. And in the past, I've definitely been one of those all or nothing people. Either I got to the summit or anything in between that was a complete failure. And I have to admit, in the first moments when I made the decision to turn around and descend back down the hill, I did feel like a failure. And I did feel really lame. And I was hard on myself. But then I started really thinking about what had happened there. And I realized that there was so much more happening that was making it so much more than a failure. So I had pushed myself past my limits, for sure, and I mean, that's a success in itself. I was going to have the opportunity to support the larger team and the greater team that was ascending up to the summit. I was also going to have the opportunity to bond with the smaller team that was descending back down to the camp. There were so many other successes that were wrapped up in this whole experience, and it's not, everything's not so black and white. Everything's not a win or a lose. There's so much more in between. And I think for someone who's as hard charging as I am sometimes, and as hard on themselves as I can be, that was a huge, huge moment to just realize I was successful in what I set out to do. I had learned so much about myself. I had learned a lot about other people around me. And I was part of this really great, tight-knit, awesome team. And you just can't really ask for that kind of experience. You can't ask for anything more. So for me, really learning that you have to define what success means to you, and you have to define what failure means to you. And it's not going to look like anybody else's. So my definition of success for different things is going to be completely different, and that's okay. And I think that we all have to learn what our definitions are and be okay with those definitions. Lastly, I think the connections that I made through this whole trip and this whole journey, I think that was worth the trip in and of itself, just to have made those connections with the whole team and to get the opportunity to go through something as psychologically and physically draining as climbing this mountain with these other people. I think that experience in itself was just completely awe-inspiring. And I learned so much about myself, but I learned so much about just the goodness and kindness and heart of other people in this world. And I felt like every person that I met throughout this whole trip was so inspirational and just so fantastic in their own unique, exciting way. Being a part of a team that was as awesome as that was just something I couldn't have asked for, and just being able to know that I shared this journey with these other awesome people across the country is just an amazing thing. And I feel like it really showed me that it's okay to open your heart up to other people, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to feel vulnerable. And you don't always have to have this, facade of being strong and being able to handle stuff on your own. Very likely someone else will be, very happy and willing to lend a helping hand and to help you up that mountain. And I think that was also a really great eye-opening just moment for me, was just seeing the complete pure goodness that exists in other people and seeing what it really means to be a part of a really close-knit, incredible team. So I thank you guys all for that, and I thank you all for the amazing lessons that I learned, and I really don't think I could ask for anything more with this whole trip. With this whole class, just all of the hardiness principles and all of the learnings leading up to it, and then being able to really kind of embody those principles once we got to Mount Adams. I think that was just a really fulfilling and exciting experience, and something that I didn't dream of happening. And I hope that I will see you again sometime soon. If you guys are ever in LA, be sure to look me up. You will always have a couch to sleep on once you're in Los Angeles, and I will definitely be sure to look you guys up in all my travels across the country. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.